All right, let's get this going. Happy Saturday, everyone. Wow, a weekend stream for the first time. I hope you all are having a lovely Saturday. Thank you for spending some of your weekend talking with me about the Batman. So, the Batman came out earlier this week, and initially I was going to do a review right afterwards, but I'm glad that I actually waited and took some time to think about it because unfortunately, one of the bad things about being a fan is that you can have knee jerk reactions to things that might not always be fair or correct. So, you know, it was nice to take some time and mull it over because this was a thick movie. It required some reflection. Um, and I had seen that Matt Reeves had said that, and I pulled them all the bookshelves here. That the Batman Year One, The Long Halloween, Dark Victory, and Ego were like his main comic book inspirations for this movies. So I pulled that off the shelf, went back to the source material, really thought about it, and yeah, now I'm ready to talk about it. So let's talk about it. And I hope that everyone here has at least seen it because this is going to be a spoiler-ish review. I won't no, it's a spoiler review, always is. But let's just get into it. So first and foremost, the verdict. I actually really enjoyed this movie. I did. I love it when you can tell that the director set out to make a real piece of art as opposed to just cashing in a paycheck, because this is a real piece of cinema. This was a movie made with a real direction and a real purpose. I like that he approached this movie with the reverence that Batman deserves, because when a creator is approaching such a big name, such an iconic, overdone, oversaturated name, the best work comes from when they approach it from a place of like, I have to bring my A game. I have to do something to differentiate myself, set myself apart, demand my right for existence in this space. So I just, first and foremost, I could tell that was what was happening here, and I was very glad to see that. And it's a solid piece of a franchise when it's a movie that can completely stand on its own or go on, and I felt like this movie was definitely that. This movie was definitely a darker Batman movie, but one of the things that I appreciated is that it wasn't just dark for dark's sake. You know what I mean? Like maybe some of the other DC things that have been made. Hold on, burp. Uh, there were very specific elements of the Batman character that he pulled right from the pages. Uh, so yeah, let's just kind of talk about that first. So the Batman, because this is one of the things that I liked about reflecting about it, is that it gave me a greater appreciation for the movie. And I feel like Matt Reeves was trying to do a very specific portrayal of Batman. And one of those. Hold on. I have a lot of notes for this. And. Sometimes it's hard to like just not rattle it off or just read directly from it. But here we go again. He chose to do a very specific portrayal of the Batman character, and I thought it was very well done. I thought it was very true to the source material while also being true to the actual theme and tone and story of the movie. Meaning like, yes, it was very Batman, but it was also not so Batman that didn't make sense in the movie that they were trying to do. And one of those elements being Detective Batman, world's greatest detective. As you see in comics, like, we have resources today, guys. As you see in like Year One and Batman The Long Halloween. And, he said he also like the year one and Batman the Long Halloween, both of those comics that kind of feature the more detective style Batman have a very detective noir style. So it makes sense that that is the kind of movie that Matt Reeves would try to make. And I thought it fit perfectly. He said he also took inspo from the 70s when detective noir movies were more of a big thing, like, Taxi Driver and Chinatown. And he's also not like the first one to think of this. Chris Nolan and David S. Goyer also felt the same way and kind of wanted to focus on the more detective side of Batman, and said that that The Long Halloween was also one of the primary influences for their movie. Hold on. I just have to pull out the foreword David S. Goyer wrote the foreword for Dark Victory, and it's actually really interesting because like a lot of the influences that he's referencing in this, I could also see Matt Reeves' influences in it. But and if you don't know, sorry, preface, David S. Goyer co-wrote the Dark Knight trilogy with Christopher Nolan, so there's your context. But yeah, he just talks about how the like Long Halloween, Dark Victory books, they followed like the early years of Batman and show Gordon more as a contemporary partner in crime as opposed to the like stodgy paternalistic character he had otherwise been portrayed as. It also highlights the conspiratorial relationship between Batman, Gordon, and Harvey Dent, and the exploration of them, bending the rules and, figuring out if the ends justify the means. It also very much explores like the cost of Bruce Wayne's insane endeavor. But there's like a paragraph here specifically where Goyer says that Jeff Loeb, who wrote these books, what did he say? He wrote a crime drama rather than a standard superhero story, with Dark Victory owing more to The Godfather and other mob movies than it does to like the standard cape and costume fare, which is what they modeled the Dark Knight movies after. And, I could say the same could be said for Matt Reeves. So, like, this movie more closely mirrors a mystery like Seven than it does like your regular superhero movie. And he also said, David S. Goyer also said these books are notable for their depiction as Batman as a detective and creating densely plotted mysteries, and also makes a note of like the dysfunctional relationship between Selina Kyle and Bruce, but I'll get into that later. But yeah, so aside from the like the detective side of Batman, so I'm saying like that was one element from the comics that I felt Matt Reeves was really trying to focus on specifically in this movie. But other than that, there's this interview where he says, or as the interview put it, he also pulled inspiration from Year One, which kind of showed the young and in turmoil Bruce Wayne figuring out how to be a vigilante. He's also like a mentally dubious loner. And again, that's where like some reflection on this movie did me good, because at first, when I first watched this movie, I thought that Robert Pattinson was incredible behind the mask. He like brought that quiet intensity that the character needed, but I wasn't super sold on the Bruce Wayne of it all. But then, thinking about the influence and the context of this film, this is like teenage Batman, not exactly Year One, but, still in the early years, still figuring out, still hasn't, completely nailed down the Bruce Wayne alter ego, and doesn't see how the Bruce Wayne alter ego also adds value to his life as Batman and as like a influential figure in Gotham City. Yeah, because like, this movie was also about the quiet moments, like bringing it back to the noir film style. This movie had very little dialogue from Batman / Bruce. And, that was like an intentional stylistic choice for noir movies as well as a character choice. And what I mean is, like, when I first saw the movies, I felt like some of the Bruce Wayne scenes, because they were, so quiet, left a little bit to be desired. But then you think about it, and while some maybe were not as strong, there were some that were actually like super powerful moments, like him at the funeral, like reacting and what, you know, to everything and everyone around him. So, which also reminds me, sorry guys, this is like a book report right now. So I hope you guys like resources, but it also found it interesting there, like in the forward from Batman Ego, Darwin Cook writes, I made a note of it here, that he was referencing one of his inspirations when he was writing this comic. So one of his favorites was Detective 439, A Night of the Stalker by Steve Englehart. And he talks about how Batman's like taking revenge on criminals, but he didn't say a word, which is a perfect example of the character distilled down to its purest form. And it is the exploration of Bruce and Wayne, you know, are Batman and Bruce Wayne, like, are they the same people? Are they completely different personas? Are they two sides of the same coin? And, you know, you can see that in this movie as well with like Riddler's fantastic line of like, you know, you in the mask is the real you. So yeah, basically I did a lot of reflecting, and I really like this portrayal of Batman. And I thought Robert Pattinson did a fantastic job. I'm actually really sick of people trying to use Twilight as a way to like belittle his work or belittle him as a person, because he is so far past that and he has done so much good work since then, and I'm just over it. I would like people, as if like tying him to Twilight is a way to just make him seem like a no, like, I don't know. I'm just over it. Everyone needs to shut the fuck up about the whole Twilight thing, but I really thought that he did an incredible job with this role. And one of the things about noir movies that I think is hard for like modern general public audiences to understand is that it is about those quiet moments, and it was like those long pan shots and like, you know, the suspense also with like the you know, watching the main character react to the world around them. And Robert Pattinson was great for that kind of role. I think he really served it. Like, you really could see so much in just his eyes without him saying a word. I thought the whole cast actually knocked it out of the park. I'm not gonna lie. Special props to Colin Farrell. I mean, you guys, holy shit, I was blown away by Colin Farrell. Like, that man is a goddamn chameleon. And not just like prosthetics. The prosthetics were amazing. Prosthetics is one thing, but it's him, you know, it's the way that he can embody a vibe and the voice and just like the physicality of it. Like, it's crazy. Like, I feel like you see him in so many different movies and he does completely different things. I mean, you know, mentioning my last stream when I have a real reference for voice acting, and he like takes that to a whole new level. It's like a whole body of like, you know, method acting shit, and it's just it's incredible. And he was, for how briefly he was featured in the movie, it was a real standout role to me. And now I'm pretty excited about this HBO Max series. Who isn't it? Oh, I mean, come on. And then we had Catwoman, Zoe Kravitz. So this is, I'm going to take a drink for it. Catwoman, I am a little torn on. And it has nothing to do with Zoe Kravitz, because I thought Zoe Kravitz actually did, I thought she was fantastic on all fronts. You know, acting, delivery, looks, vibe. I mean, not only did she look great, but like, you know, she also she embodied the role very well. But I was just like slightly disappointed in this movie's portrayal of Catwoman as a character, and then subsequently the relationship between Catwoman and Batman. Actually, specifically the relationship between Catwoman and Batman is the thing that I have the most, that I actually have the issue with. This is going to be kind of hard to explain. It's okay. We're going to go on a ride here. Let's see. Let's see if I can actually explain this. Because she was a little too serious and aloof for me. but I also understand, I understand what they were trying to do because I think it fit in the movie, like how this. Sorry, I have a pup by me today. Over me. Okay. Um, I thought like it was like the way the portrayal of Catwoman fit in this movie really well, and I could see what they were trying to do, kind of pulling from like the Selena stories in this comic that show the kind of opportunistic survivor lifestyle that then breeds this like protective, altruistic little soul. And, these are, again, like how it was like teenage Batman. It was still like the early days of Catwoman. So, she's still figuring his shit out. But amidst all that, right, there is a mysterious playfulness to Selena Kyle that is the reason why she's so alluring, and Zoe's Catwoman was obviously playful here and there, and when she did have playful lines, I thought the delivery was very well, but it wasn't enough to create chemistry between Bruce and Selena, if that makes sense. Trying to make sense of my notes. Like her switching personas, like some of the scenes, well, some of the club scenes was really strong, but when they're together, right? Like Catwoman doing all the talking and Batman just sitting there silent is like it's a very classic setup, nothing new here. A lot of the chemistry that we all know and love really comes from Selena doing all of the heavy lifting in that. But, so it's like Selena's relentlessness, like relentless playfulness paired with Bruce's silent encouragement, meaning like as someone who would usually shut it down or fuck off, he actually like goes along with it and sometimes indulges it. So when she's a little more on the serious and aloof side, and then he's also not saying anything, and he's just like being the classic weird loner asshole that he's being, it kind of just seems like, do they even like each other? You know what I mean? Yeah. So basically what I'm trying to say is like Zoe Kravitz, thumbs up. Chemistry between them, nah. Thumbs down, medium down, baby down. But yeah. And I know it's always shitty to make comparisons, but I feel like also it doesn't get talked about enough, so I'm going to talk about it. But I just feel like no one has nailed Catwoman like Anne Hathaway. Like for me personally, that is 11 out of 10. Like she checked all the boxes, like the fierceness, the vulnerability, the playfulness, like this force of nature that you can't turn away from. Like there's a lot of layers to Selena Kyle that are in a constant state of shifting. And it's a really hard thing to nail, and it's a really hard thing to capture. So I feel like this movie got some of it, but not all of it. And I just want to live in a world where I got to see like an entire movie of Anne Hathaway as Catwoman, because I just love it so much. I sometimes watch like compilation videos of her. She is fantastic. But back to the movie. All right. So back to the about the story. Let's talk about the story and the plot. So just as a movie, it was a really solid crime and mystery movie. Like the plot, the story and the plot itself was very well designed, very compelling, very engaging, and it unfolded at a pretty good pace for a 3-hour movie, which is hard, especially because I'm going to say it again. I'm going to stand on this soapbox until someone responds to it. But like, I am all for long movies, but like, can we please have intermissions in movies like we do for plays? Like, I would love a 4-hour movie if we could just have just 20 minutes of it to pee, maybe get a new drink or something like that. Because yeah, it's hard to do a movie in a theater for 3 hours, but I actually thought that this one unfolded at a pretty good pace. And like a third act climax is especially hard to pull off for a 3 hour movie. But I was very impressed with this. Like the scene with Batman and Riddler in Arkham was just like perfectly disturbing, like the Riddler holding up this distorted mirror to Batman. Like, we've been working together this whole time, like you and me, we've been doing this, like, and he's just like in total denial, like, we are not, you're insane. No, I am, you're insane, not me. Fuck you for insinuating that. But it was just like, so just like chef's kiss, so on point. And then it even had that like super wholesome Batman being a hero scene, which it still made me warm and fuzzy inside. So I was very impressed. I was very impressed with that. And what else? The action. Ooh, okay. The action scenes also very impressive. They were great, dude. They were dynamic. They were cinematic. I felt like every action scene was like an individual set piece with a specific intention. You know what I mean? Like, where it's like, hold on, burp again. You had that, like, when he's fighting all those like street thugs in the alleyway, you just have like a very like stationary camera, like, holding in on just like brutal force. And then you have, oh my God, the one that was, oh my God, burp again, hold on. I'm a gassy lady today. You had that fucking epic gunshot hallway scene. Like, that itself, I mean, they put it in the trailer, so I was like ready for it. Like, the moment I saw it set up, I'm like leaning forward in my seat. That was fucking awesome. And actually, the car chase scene, I was surprised how much I liked it, because I am usually not a big, like, I talk about this all the time. Whenever in movies, like, a bunch of civilians are getting hurt and a bunch of like buildings are getting destroyed, it really takes me out of it. And I'm just like, like, how far would they let this go? Like, this is, it really takes me out of it. And it's hard for me to like suspend my disbelief once like just like a street gets just totally razed. But I was actually able to suspend my suspension of disbelief with this car chase scene, because it was just so visceral. Like, the Batmobile, like, you really felt like the weight of it. It was just, it was really good. Like, the music makes it like Colin Farrell, man, like, he's really just like sitting in a seat and you're just like watching him in these close-ups in like a stationary car. But man, that car chase scene was that was dope. And I actually just like, I liked the set and props in general. I mean, there was nothing like super flashy, but I especially liked the design of Wayne Manor. I felt like it was pulled right from the comic books, where there's always kind of a little bit of surrealism when in comic book setting design. So it felt a little bit surreal, but still real, almost like a mythical gothic structure. I don't know. I just thought it was really fucking awesome. I really liked it. And just like from like a nerdy movie standpoint, like, I just felt like the sets were like expertly designed in like a blocking sense, like the like fluidity, like the movement of the movie, like, and if you can pay attention to this if you want in a movie, but when characters are like moving and handing things to each other, like, that's all very practiced, like blocking, and the sets were built very well with it. Like, there was just a great fluidity to a lot of the sequences. And in addition to, the whole vibe, we got to talk about the music. I am also a big movie music fan. I think it is such an integral part of a movie. It's one of the things I notice if it's missing. And just a round of applause. I don't know who's responsible for it. Someone put them in the chat so I can shout them out, give them credit where credit's due. But I just felt like the movie music, the soundtrack, like the specific Batman score was stirring. It was it was intense. Like it would swell in a way where it would like swell emotionally, and then it would like punch you in the gut. You know what I mean? Like it was, it really, I felt it in the theater. It shook me. And I'm trying to think. I think that's everything I wanted to say about the stuff I like, and then I'll probably move into the things I didn't like so much. I'm going to hold this annoying note until I read all of my notes. Yeah. All right. I think that's kind of Michael Giacchino. I hope I said that right, but Michael G. Hats off to you for an incredible score. But all in all, as I've rattled off for the last 25 minutes about how much I liked it, let's also talk about some of the things I didn't like, because while it was a super enjoyable movie, I'll definitely watch it again. And I would definitely recommend everyone go watch it, especially in theaters, for that score, for the fact that it is a 3-hour movie, and it's nice to just kind of sit there and like hold your attention with it. I still wouldn't say it was like a perfect movie. There were some things that left a little to be desired. I would say probably the weakest point in the movie for me were just like the interpersonal relationships in general between the characters. And maybe this had to do something with the fact that Bruce Mann just didn't really have that much dialogue, so there wasn't a lot to go off of in the interpersonal side of it all. But I felt like it presented a lot of relationships that were supposed to feel important, but they didn't. That were the classic thing of like them telling you it's important, but it doesn't really feel important. Like the whole buddy cop thing of Gordon and Batman is like a given, but I didn't really like feel an actual like camaraderie between them. The Alfred stuff I felt like was really weak. Again, I thought Andy Serkis did a good job, but like just like the portrayal of their relationship in this movie was just a little thin. And things like the whole Selena Falcone father reveal, that even though it was like unexpected information, it wasn't super shocking, if that makes sense. Like, meaning like I didn't really care when I found it out, like, and I didn't feel like it was that big of a deal of a reveal. Whoa, big deal of a reveal. When she's like, he's my father, I was like, I don't know. And then like her like killing him at the end, like it didn't really stir anything emotionally for me. So that part was a little weak, and that's, those are not small things. Like the way that characters interact with each other is an important part of the movie. And another important part of it, which, sucks that this is the case, but it just is. It's inevitable. But like, while this was a good crime movie and a good movie overall, like if we're looking at the Batman of it all, right? Hold on. Another burp. That was like a mini one. There's a lot of burps today, my friend. Yeah. Anyways, looking at the Batman of it all, I don't know if this movie really gave us anything new. You know what I mean? Like, which unfortunately, with a character this big, this overdone, this oversaturated, it is something that has to be mentioned. Like, it's kind of the same criticism that people gave to the new Spider-Man Home trilogy. Like, are the movies good? Yes. Were they true to the character? Yes. Are they like a surprising and innovative piece of work for this character? Maybe not so much, like it's just like, it's as a movie in general too, like it was very creative and very well executed, but not super surprising. It was, very predictable in a lot of places. In other parts, it was like super compelling and interesting. So it's it's right in the middle of those things. So those kind of things brought it down a little bit for me. But because, I mean, this is like the 500 millionth Batman movie. You kind of want. It sucks that you have to, it's held to such a high standard because so many have been done, but them's the breaks. And I know Matt Reeves went into this with those intentions and with that in mind, and I actually think he did a really good job and made something unique presentation wise and like creative wise, but a little bit left to be desired on the new Batman content. Now I'm getting tongue tied. All right. So I basically think that is all I'm going to say about the Batman for now. I feel like my opinions on it still are yet to be done, because this honestly is a thick movie and I need to go back and I need to go rewatch it. I feel like this is a movie I might, because it is like a real piece of cinema and a real piece of art, I will just grow to appreciate it more and more with each watch. So I'm not done with this movie, you know? And if you are a comic book nerd, I do recommend you picking up Batman Ego, Year One, these two. This is like a little set. And just, going back to the source. These are fantastic comics. It's one of the reasons why people love Batman so much. In the forward, actually, I think of Ego, Darwin Cook says this great line, like, there's something about Batman that as a character is so primal and so just universally understood. And it'll give you a greater appreciation for like what Nolan and what Matt Reeves and, what these people were really pulling from. And yeah, I recommend. But so yeah, I am going to hold on one second, read a little bit from the chat, and then after that I'm going to call it a day and let you guys get back to your weekend. Also, I'm going to cruise through and see again if I missed anything in my notes. Any suggestions for what I should do when I'm reading my notes? You want me to sing a ditty? Do you want me to Jeopardy music? Okay. Think I'm good. And now I'm going to read the chat. I need to get Rigby in here. Where did my little pup go? Rigby. I'm dog sitting with the best boy in the entire world. I wanted him to make a cameo, but now he's roaming around. Atmosphere was great. The car chase needed more Batmobile, in my opinion. Too many flipping semi-trucks took me out of it. Yeah, Jedi Mike, I'm not gonna lie. That stuff really, it's hard for me, but it was good enough for that I just let it go. I let it go for this one. I was like, there's a lot of things that felt very surrealistic in this movie, that for that one car flippy scene, I was just like, there's like, I feel like there's just 15 cars. 15 cars just got totaled and everyone died in those cars, but it's fine. It's fine. You should do slam poetry while checking your notes. I'm not that much of a brain. How did you feel about the accents and the cops in Gotham? The cops in Gotham are honestly, they felt like one amorphous character. Like, I know that there are like individual cops, like what was one of them, like Martinez, and the guy with the mustache that was corrupt and stuff. Like I know that there were like individual ones they focused on more, but really it seemed like they were trying to make a statement about the cops in general. They just kind of seemed like one amorphous, angry mob. But yeah, I'm gonna let you go. One more thing before everyone goes, though. Jedi Mike reached out to me actually on Discord, and what was it? You're going to the oh my god, I forgot the information. Sorry. We were thinking of having a little costume contest, cosplay contest for one of the upcoming events at the end of May, May 28th in Southern California. So I want to know out of everyone in this chat who is in the Southern California area has sound off because we might have something fun for you to do. Let's see. I can pull it up. Yes, it is the Star Wars celebration in Anaheim. It's going to be in downtown Disney at the Star Wars Trader Store at Vader's Lair. There's already Shiv and Jedi Mike are already going to be attending. And so it would be a lovely little Simpire meetup. And so if you guys do want to all get together and hang out, I think it would be a lot of fun. I unfortunately cannot go myself. I hate it. It's literally like the one weekend in May that I have booked. I already am going to be literally out of town, but I think it would be wonderful to see some of you guys dress up in your favorite Star Wars cosplay, and perhaps maybe if you can't go physically, then you should still put a little something together, and then you could submit a photo via Discord, and we can do a little contest, and then the winner can do like a special Q&A, do it on my Patreon. So let's see. Yeah, Star Wars Celebration meetup. Sorry, Algram Chicago isn't in Southern California, but if you still have a good costume in your repertoire, you should still whip it out. So I'm going to talk about this more in the Discord, in the main gang Discord, in my little hangout chat in Daryn's Palace. So Jedi Mike has really spearheaded this idea. So we'll talk about it more with him, coordinate more with him, and we'll be doing that on the Discord. So if you haven't already joined that, you most definitely should. And yeah, I think that's going to be it for now. Thank you guys for tuning in on a Saturday. It was lovely to see you this weekend. And I will see you next week. And I hope you all have a lovely weekend. Quick shout out. I did my makeup like Batman if anyone cares. But I did. So, yeah. Yeah. Okay.